Sit down.
What are you doing?
Fixing this.
Baba, no, please. I'm not a boy. I'm your daughter.
You'll understand someday.
Stop. Please don't. I'm me. Say something, please. No, please don't. Please.
There, it's done.
Subscribe to Barber of Secrets to find out what happened to her.
Her name was Samira, but in her father's house, her name didn't matter. He called her Sammy. To him, that was not a nickname, it was a correction, a declaration. Samira's identity wasn't something she was allowed to discover, it was something that had been decided for her. She was born into a conservative Muslim family in Michigan, where tradition stood taller than truth, and daughters were seen, but only within limits. Her father, Amir, already had 2 girls. He had prayed for a son. When Samira was born, he said God had answered, just not fully. So he took it upon himself to complete the answer. He raised her as a boy. At 5, her curls were chopped off. At 7, she was taught to lower her voice. At 10, she was banned from playing with girls. By 13, she was wearing loose shirts, long pants, and a stare that never met anyone's eyes. Her mother never questioned it, not out loud. She just watched quietly as her daughter disappeared into the version of a son her husband could control. At school, they called her Sammy, too. No one asked why her voice cracked when they did. She didn't play sports. She didn't talk much. She floated between desks, silent and guarded, just enough to avoid attention, just enough to stay safe. Until one spring afternoon, Jaden looked at her. The boy everyone liked, tall, athletic, warm in a way that made people melt without knowing why. He didn't say anything that day. He just smiled. But in that smile, something cracked. Not her defenses, her denial. For the first time, she didn't feel erased. She felt seen. That night, Samira opened her mother's closet. Buried in the back, under an old winter coat, was a shoebox. Inside, a pair of ivory heels. One strap broke, a little scuffed, size too big, but they looked like something out of a dream. She slipped them on. Her legs trembled a little, walked like she was learning to stand again. And when she looked in the mirror, she didn't see Sammy. She saw herself. Samira, a girl who had been waiting for this moment her entire life. She smiled, and then she cried. Not because she felt ashamed, but because she didn't feel invisible. Not anymore. The next morning, she sat across from her parents at the kitchen table. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her voice was steady.
Baba, I want to grow my hair.
Her father didn't look up from his tea.
I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm not a boy.
Her father finally raised his eyes, hard, cold.
You are what I made you.
She's not lying, Amir.
Silence.
And then nothing. He stood, left the room, took the weight of the conversation with him. For a moment, Samira thought maybe that silence meant something. She was wrong.
2 days passed. He didn't yell, didn't scold, didn't speak. Just silence, cold, measured, louder than any shout. And in that silence, Samira began to hope. Maybe he was listening. Maybe something inside him had shifted. But on the 3rd night, she heard the garage door open. He walked into the kitchen, no words, just a pair of clippers in his hand. He pointed to the wooden chair in the middle of the floor.
Sit down.
Samira didn't move. Her body stiffened. Her heart pounded. She thought this had just been a threat, but he was serious. He was going to do it. The first time she asked, she was gentle. The second time, she was not. Samira clouded, defiant.
I said I'm not a boy.
Her voice cracked with rage. She stood tall, tears in her eyes, fury in her voice.
I'm not your experiment. I'm your daughter. You keep pretending God gave you a son, but he didn't. He gave me.
She stepped closer to him, eyes blazing.
You erased 2 daughters already. You won't erase me.
He didn't shout. He didn't flinch. He turned and walked to the garage and came back with the clippers.
Baba, no, please.
She stepped back. He stepped forward.
Please don't do this. I told you, I'm your daughter, not your son.
Sit down.
She shook her head.
This isn't love, it's control, it's punishment. Ami, please, say something, say anything.
That's when fear became begging. Samira dropped to her knees.
I'll do anything, I'll wear what you want. I won't talk to Jaden again. I'll pray more, just let me keep my hair.
Her father grabbed her by the arm and forced her into the chair. She screamed, she fought, but he held her down.
No, please, stop, please.
The razor touched her scalp. The first pass ran straight across the top of her head. One long, dark lock fell to the floor. Then another, and another, and another. Her screams became sobs. Sobs became whimpers. And eventually, silence. He shaved her head, not to discipline her, but to break her. Her mother turned away. Her father said nothing. When he was done, he clicked the clippers off, set them on the kitchen counter,
There. Now you're clean.
and walked out. Samira didn't move. She stared at the floor, at the piles of hair. She lifted a trembling hand to touch her bare scalp and whispered.
They erased me.
That night she didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed, holding a photo. A little girl in a pink dress, age 5, grinning wide, with long hair. Before Sami, before shame. She didn't pack much. Just the photo, her sketchbook, and a pair of dusty high heels from the back of her mother's closet. At 4:17 a.m., as her father recited morning prayer in the living room, Samira opened the back door and walked away. She didn't look back. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew one thing. Anywhere, it was better than home.
At 6:12 a.m., Samira found herself in front of a small cafe on the corner of a quiet street, Bean and Birch. The sign was hand-painted, chipped at the edges. A planter of dying herbs leaned in the window. But the scent, cinnamon, espresso, cardamom, wrapped around her like a memory. She stood outside for a moment, unsure whether she had the right to step inside. Then a voice called out.
You gonna freeze out there or come in?
She walked in, hairless, hollow, eyes raw from crying. Behind the counter stood a tall woman, late 50s, maybe 60s, silver hair cropped short, arms tattooed, a flannel shirt over a floral apron. She didn't blink at Samira's shaved head, didn't look away.
You like tea?
Samira nodded faintly.
Jasmine okay?
She didn't wait for an answer, just poured it into a white mug with tiny blue flowers and slid it across the counter. Samira sat, didn't speak. Neither did Lena. The silence wasn't awkward, it was kind. After several minutes, Lena spoke again.
You got a place to go?
Samira shook her head.
Family?
Pause. Then,
Not anymore.
Lena didn't press, didn't ask. She just sipped her own tea, then leaned back and said,
I had a dad who said I was going to hell because I liked wearing eyeliner.
What did you do?
Left, built a life, grew herbs no one bought, started this cafe.
a pause. Then,
You can wash dishes if you want. I can't pay much, but the kettle's always warm and no one here gives a damn what you look like.
that's how it began. Samira spent the next weeks in that cafe, cleaning, brewing tea, relearning how to smile without fear. No one asked about her hair. No one tried to rename her. And Lena? She didn't mother her, didn't try to fix her. She just made space. And in that space, something began to return. Not her curls, not her old self, but something stronger, something new. One night, Lena brought out a worn photo album. Inside, black and white Polaroids, stage lights, hospital beds, a younger Lena in a tuxedo, a hospital bracelet, a pride march.
You looked happy.
I was tired, but yeah, happy.
Samira stared at one photo for a long time. It showed Lena, mid-20s, bald, standing on a stage with glitter on her face.
Sometimes losing something makes you louder. When was the last time you said your name out loud?
I don't remember.
Say it now.
Samira.
Again.
Samira.
Good.
In that moment, it wasn't just a name, it was a declaration, and no one had to give her permission to say it. When Samira walked back into Westfield High, she didn't look like anyone's version of a comeback. She wore a lavender sweater, a simple silver chain with her name in Arabic, and a pair of worn boots that had walked through more than sidewalks. Her hair had grown, curling just above her shoulders, but it wasn't the length that made people stare. It was the way she carried herself. No hoodie, no slouch, no fear. Not anymore. That week, the school hosted its annual speech contest. Theme: What does freedom mean to you? Samira signed up without hesitation. When her name was called, she stepped onto the stage. No script, no cue cards, just a microphone and her truth.
Freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the silence after someone stops yelling at you, or the first breath you take after you stop pretending, or the sound of your own name said by someone who doesn't want to change it. For me, freedom was leaving the only place I'd ever known because they didn't see the girl standing in front of me. Freedom was sleeping on benches, pouring tea, and hearing a woman say, "You don't need to prove anything. You already are."
She smiled, not because she needed the approval, but because she didn't. That night, Jaden approached her by the lockers. He didn't stare, didn't fumble, didn't ask what happened. He just looked her in the eyes and said,
I'm glad you came back.
So am I.
That night, Samira's phone rang, an unknown number. She answered anyway.
Samira?
Samira froze. Her voice hadn't reached home in almost a year.
I saw your video. The speech.
A pause, then,
You looked strong and beautiful.
Samira didn't speak right away, not because she was angry, but because healing isn't an instant return. Finally, she said,
I'm okay, Ami.
Her mother exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months.
Are you eating? Are you warm?
Not an apology, but not rejection either. And in that space between the two, Samira felt something loosen. That night, Samira sat at Lena's kitchen table. The tea steamed gently beside her. She opened her sketchbook, and on the first page she wrote, I'm not asking anymore. Then she drew a pair of scissors, a buzzing clipper, and a girl walking barefoot through rain, smiling. Some people fight for their name in courtrooms, some whisper it in mirrors, and some carve it back from silence, strand by strand. Samira never needed permission to be a girl. She just needed the world to stop interrupting long enough to hear her say it. Now she says it every day, out loud, with no fear, no shame, and no need to ask.